Who enforces these rules? What's that? Yeah, the referees, that's the administrators, the security guards, or security officers, the policemen. And you start going on campus, you're going to meet them. But just be polite. And what I found is a lot of them don't know what the rules are. I was, 2 weeks ago, I was at a college at a kiosk, and a Muslim comes up to me, and we had talked before, and he starts showing me on his phone verses from the Quran. And he's reading about the birth of Jesus. And there's a verse in there that says Jesus was going to die and rise again. I said, hey, I believe that. I believe that. I said, do you believe that? I said, do you believe that Jesus died and rose again? And he says, no, he didn't. No, he didn't die. I said, well, where is he? He just went up to heaven. I said, well, how do we know that? Well, it's in the Quran. So we have two different standards. And I've had these discussions before. How do you decide which standard to use? And I said, hey, let's see what the Quran says about the Bible. And so I said, hey, why don't you look up Surah is like chapter, Surah 547. It's where it says that Christians should judge both the Torah and the gospel. And he couldn't find it. So I took out my Quran and I showed it to him. And he says, well, the Bible's been corrupted. And I was going to show him Surah 18:27 that says none can change his words. But before I could do that, oh, and by the way, the reason I can know about the Quran, everybody should write this down, David Wood. If you want to know about Islam, type in, watch David Wood, and then watch 3 Stages of Jihad. Everybody should watch that. Or 10 verses about ISIS. He's really good, probably the best communicator that I've heard. He's very funny. He has these 5 or 10 minute videos, and then, because he's studied it, he knows what's in the Quran and the Hadiths. So it's excellent, excellent. And, that's basically what I did. I'd listen to him, and he'd quote verses from the Quran, and I'd go look them up, and yeah. Yeah, it's rather eye-opening, to say the least. So study. And so, but anyhow, before I could show him that verse, the director of student life came up and said, you can't talk about religion and politics here. I said, what? She said, you got to go out to the free speech zone to do that. I mean, by the way, that's 30 degrees out. It's outside, 30 to 40 degrees, and it's in the middle of nowhere. And she says, and you can't have this literature on the top. And you can't have that thing. And she gave me the reasons why. And so I just, question. What would you do? Somebody just told you can't talk about religion and politics. What would you do?
Look up the rules.
Look up the rules. Good, good. And so I did what she said. And people would say, hey, Brian, how you doing? I said, I'm muzzled. I can't talk about religion or politics here. Really? Why not? Because she said so, And people are just, really? That's happening? And so when I was done, I packed up, and she goes, if you want to discuss that, we can set up a meeting. So she goes and comes back and gets a card. And I suggest recording. I was taking notes, what she was saying. I went to her office, and she's busy. And so I said, can I get a copy of the policy? And just wide-eyed and instant. I don't want to break your rules, but I want to know, can I, the policy that's so I know what I can and cannot say to the students. And they gave me the email, the card of the vice president. So I emailed the vice president. Can you show me exactly what I can and cannot say? And then I made a phone call too. And I went back later that week, and there was a woman waiting by my kiosk. I had set it up and I'd gone, and I was coming back, and there was a woman. She goes, are you Brian? I said, yeah. And she said her name. And she goes, I just want to apologize for what happened on Monday. That must have been very uncomfortable. And I said, yeah, it was really uncomfortable. There were students standing around, and she said, no, you have the freedom to speak freely here. And I thanked her, and I said, Christians are real uncomfortable on this campus. They're real uncomfortable in the diversity class, and the science class, and the astronomy class, and they come by and they're so frustrated. They feel like they can't think. They feel like they have to be told what to think, and they're so frustrated. And I said, yeah, and a student even flunked diversity class because of it. She goes, here? And I said, yeah. And so, and I said, you have these posters all over the place saying to be open-minded, to seek different perspectives. I said, what could help in that? You could lead by example and have one of these in your library. Subscribe to these creation science journals. Because I said, can a creationist seek new, can he be a creationist in the science room? And she said, well, that's up to the instructor. And I said, well, why don't you? And so she took it, and she's going to give it to the librarian and ask, can we get this in the library? And that happened at St. Cloud State, too. I didn't go in there and give it to them. It was somebody high up the food chain that we had this discussion. And there are allies out there. thank God. So we need to, make hay while the sun shines. And so I got home, and they emailed me back the policy. It was like 5 sentences with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I said, well, I didn't break any of those. And I replied, well, and I need to know what I can and can't say. And I got home after talking to that lady, and there's an email that says, that policy doesn't exist. And I said, well, could you tell that director of student life that so she doesn't bully anybody else in the future? Because they got their signs, be a buddy, not a bully, And I get a reply back. She says, yes, absolutely, that conversation has taken place. And so we need to stand up to the bully. When our rights, if you feel like you're getting, we need to stand up. We need to expose them. And if I would have just said, okay, she went to get exposed. And so now, I guess they're redoing the policies there, and hopefully they'll make sure that doesn't happen again to the students.